Well, this video is something completely different. I've never filmed anything quite like this, but I'm hoping that you learn something and most of all, save some money. Ever get a brush that looks like this? It's just bad. It is dried. That's just got some blue and yellow in it. And I've got this one here, dry as a bone. Ordinarily, you'd throw these brushes away and waste your money, but I'm gonna show you how to clean them. This can actually be fixed. Also, I've got a 2-inch brush sitting over there. It's been absolutely drenched in water. So as soon as that dries, it's gonna look terrible. If you've ever put a 2-inch brush into water, you know that it ruins it. I'm gonna show you how to fix it as well. Again, hopefully you save some money, keeps you from buying a bunch of brushes. You're gonna need some paper towels for this one. So the first thing on these brushes, the first thing we gotta do is get this dry paint out of here. And you might think, well, that's impossible. And up until recently, I thought so too. This is Winsor & Newton Brush Cleaner and Restorer. I am not sponsored and I don't make a penny out of this. If you find something better than this, please buy it. I don't make any money from this. I really could care less if anybody bought this, except for that I think it helps you. It says it's safe. I would read all the instructions and go with whatever it says to do. I'm gonna put a little bit in this glass jar right here, and I'm gonna let these brushes soak. So that's the first step, is put a little bit in a jar and let them soak. So these brushes have been in here for several minutes, actually close to about 10 minutes, maybe more. And I'm going to take them out and begin to just see what we've got. There, you can see this one that was completely stiff is now broken up into individual pieces. What I can do at this point, now that you got it soft, you can actually take a palette knife and begin to scrape it like this. This one's going to need to go back in the bath for a little longer. I noticed if you get that brush cleaner on the handles, it completely removes the paint down to the wood. Doesn't really hurt anything. If that happens to you, it's not going to hurt the brush. But yeah, this will actually save your brushes. Again, not sponsored. If you find something better, post it in the comments. I'd like to give it a try. But so far, this stuff really works. I'm just showing you. Hey, it works. And this will save you money, so you don't have to throw your brushes away if you accidentally leave them out to dry, like I did. I got busy, walked away for just a couple days. It doesn't take long, and absolutely got destroyed. So this is the first step. I know it looks really brutal, but we got to get this paint out of the brush. So I'm just going to continue to scrub it here. As you can see, that brush is pretty soft. It's actually very soft. It's back to normal. It's literally back to normal. And with a filbert brush, having it beat up really won't hurt anything. But yeah, back to normal. So that brush is saved. I'm going to do the same process to the 1-inch brush. Now you can see it's taken several paper towels and a couple trips back into the bath here, but it worked pretty good. Actually, it's worked extremely good. This is something that I have been using probably over the last year, maybe not. Yeah, it's probably been about a year since I've used this. I can't tell you how many times. In fact, I've done this multiple times when I forget. I'm bad about forgetting. I've got a lot going on. I got 2 little kids. A lot of craziness that happens. And sometimes I forget about my brushes. I'm tired after the painting and I just set them there. I'll be back upstairs later, and I never do make it back upstairs, which may be another, maybe if your painting studio is like right there where you're constantly looking at it, then that may not be as much of a problem, but mine's kind of out of sight, out of mind, really. That is, I don't know if I should touch it with my fingers. Read the bottle, read all the safety instructions on the bottle. It does say AP, which is the same rating that paint has, good, normal paint. But I don't know. I would be careful with it because look at what it's doing to dry paint. I don't know. This may be something you want to do outside. It doesn't smell. But look, that's just as soft as can be. Just as soft as can be. That brush is completely normal. It does not distort the shape. This shape is naturally distorted because I scrubbed with it a bunch, but it really doesn't. Now, I'm going to do the same for the 3/4-inch flat brush, but that one, there's an extra step. Now with the 3/4 flat brush, I found, because these are synthetic hairs, the other 2 are natural, I found you got to be a little bit more delicate with it so you don't damage the hair. I'm also going to show you how to fix a brush, because these 3/4 brushes and the detail round, anything that's synthetic will eventually get these little, you just wear them out. Like if you ever wear out a toothbrush or something and they just flare out like this, and it never comes back to a point. I'll show you how to fix that. But first I gotta clean this brush. Now here is probably the best money-saving tip for paintbrushes, for any synthetic brush. This works with the round brushes, flat brushes, my brushes, any brand, doesn't matter. Works with that. Here is a relatively new one. This is the one we just saved, the one that was all dried. It's very soft now, comes to a nice, razor edge. I can paint with that, no problem. Here's an old one. Now this one has probably been dried and then cleaned a couple times, but honestly, it's just months old. My brushes don't last forever. I paint quite a bit, and it's worn out. How do you know it's worn out? Well, it won't come to an edge anymore. When I try to squeeze it to an edge, it just poof. You'd have to put a lot of paint in that brush in order to get it to come to a chiseled edge. And that's what this brush is. If this brush doesn't come to a chiseled edge, then it's not good for what it was originally intended. Now you can do other things with it, foliage and whatnot, but I want to get it back to a chiseled edge. So here's how you do it. It's a little drastic, and there's more than one way to do it. You can do it with a knife, but I feel like it's safer to do it with a pair of scissors. Okay, if you can see that right down the middle of the brush, what I want to do is I want to take and I want to cut that side and leave just the interior of the brush. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to comb it like so. And I'm going to just cut away those hairs like that. So what I did was I just literally sliced the edge off of the brush like this. I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to slice that edge. And you might think, oh no, you're going to ruin it. Well, listen, maybe, but I have fixed brushes this way. This is a totally viable. In fact, the last Patreon live stream I did, the three-quarter flat brushes were saved. Like they were done like this. They were cut. They weren't new. They were old, and I restored them. And this is going to save you a ton of money. A lot of people will say, well, you shouldn't be giving away secrets like this. You won't sell as much brushes. Well, I'm not out to try to sell you a brush that you don't need. If you can extend, these things are not cheap. If you can extend the life of something, why not? I don't want to be a waste. There we go. So I'm just going to continue to cut and shape it. But you see, I just take the bristles right off the edge. Again, I'm just cutting one edge. So I'm just cutting that edge and that edge, trying to leave the center of the brush. Basically what I'm doing is taking any of the hairs that go like this, and I'm just trimming them off. So all I have are the interior hairs, which are still straight. And obviously you can only do this about one time. But hey, if you get another couple months out of your brush, then that's worth it. You can see the interior hairs are actually a little bit messed up. You can take and comb them straight. And then when it dries, if you rinse it out and then let it dry, it'll dry straight. The finished brush. You just dry it really good. Had a little bit of residual oil in it. And that's literally it. I can paint with that brush. Like I said, I did a live stream. There's nothing more high stakes than a live stream. I mean, your brush has got to work on a live stream. But that edge is very similar to the way that a brand new 3/4 inch brush would work. Yeah, you can fluff it out, but it doesn't take very much paint to get that thing back into a razor edge. And again, that's what this brush is made for, the sharp edges. So once it's worn out, and that's just synthetics that are soft, they wear out faster. You're essentially taking something that's soft, like just think about taking any kind of hair and scrubbing it against a piece of sandpaper. And then you wonder why your brushes wear out. And unfortunately, it's just part of the deal. But that definitely will help extend the life of this brush. I'm going to put it back into use. I'll be painting YouTube videos with it. And I'm going to use it probably for couple more months. Now, of course, we can also talk about the famous 2-inch brush flaring out because you got it near water. This happens all the time. I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten over the last, 10 or 15 years about people saying, oh no, I've ruined my 2-inch brush. I cleaned it with soap and water. So here you can see a brand new 2-inch brush. All I did was put it in water. I didn't even use soap, just water. and it totally flares it out. Now, this same thing will happen to fan brushes, filbert brushes, or anything that's made out of this natural white hair, because this is natural hair, it's not synthetic. Synthetic brushes, of course, will not do this. Now, it's definitely a bigger problem on the 2-inch and 1-inch brush because they're so long and there's so much hair and it just gets out of control like crazy. So to avoid this, don't wash it in water. But if you did, which is probably why you're watching this video, here's how you can fix it, because yes, you can fix it. And it's really not that hard. Right here, I've got a little jar of water. It's actually the only clean water in my studio. It's my Mister bottle for acrylics. But I'm going to take that brush, which is dry, and I'm going to wet it again with water. Which seems counterintuitive, but I'm going to just put out a little water here and get it wet. I'm in my studio, I can make a mess, it's okay. So I'm going to get this thing wet with water again. And so you see now it's come back to a chisel. See that? So it's wet with water. Just going to dry this off really quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a double roll of paper towel, or double, a full sheet, fold it in half, and with this brush saturated, so there's tons of water in that brush, I'm going to set it down and I'm going to tightly roll it. It's important to get the shape perfect because this, however you roll it, is how it's going to dry and how it's going to be. So it's possible, that it's not going to come out perfect, but it 100% will save the brush, even if it's not perfect. So there you can see that. And I'm just going to mush it down. There's the handle you can see. So mushing the bristles down, which are really from about here to here. And I'm going to place something heavy. This is just a jar. Put a soup can or a book, something, but it is going to get wet. So maybe not a book, but put something heavy on it. Let it dry overnight at least. Give it 24 hours, whatever. It needs to be bone dry. If you remove this before it's dry, it won't fix the problem. But if you allow it to completely dry, it will bring that brush back to the right shape. All right, and this is what it looks like after it's actually been a couple of days because I got busy. So this is totally dry. You can see this paper towel is stiff and dry. I'm going to remove the brush, and if you look at that, that's so cool. It's absolutely perfect. Actually, that's better than sometimes. It's got just a little bit of a bend to it, but that's all right. It'll paint perfectly. You can just use that as normal. You can see as I flick the hairs, it doesn't poof out. It really looks back to normal. It looks brand new. So anyway, that's how you fix a large natural hair brush if it comes in contact with water. It's very effective. Don't throw it away. It works. Well, that wraps up this quick video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and learned a lot. You'll be saving money and not throwing away your old brushes. These methods, of cutting the bristles, it's not perfect, and you still may want to invest in a new brush, but I don't recommend throwing away the old ones because you can save them and get quite a bit more use out of them. So definitely look into doing this. I think you'll find it useful. So anyway, thanks for your support. I'll see you in the next video. We'll be doing a painting next time, but hopefully you got something out of this.